listen to that silence. Hey up! Hey! Welcome back. So, seems like an eternity since I've been out on this big beauty. My immaculate Honda ST1300 Pan-European 2003 model, would you believe, with just 13,400 miles on the clock. That's about as low as it gets for a 20-year-old Pan-European. And notwithstanding every one of those 20 years of no doubt loyal service, this bike feels as taut as if it had just come out of a Honda showroom back in 2003. And it looks every bit as pristine as it feels. And of course we'll have a little chat about the Honda Pan-European, and I'm going to tell you why I think pound for pound it is the best big tourer that there's ever been. How's about that then for a claim? Because it's not made anymore, sadly. I think in around about 2011, give or take, Honda announced that they were putting on hold their planned third iteration of this bike, a third V4. So it started life, didn't it, of course, with the ST1100 Pan-European, which I had quite a few years ago now. It was an incredibly loyal workhorse, incredibly reliable thing. And then of course in 2002 Honda launched this, the Mark II, if you like, the ST1300 Pan-European. Or to my friends in the States, just ST1300. ST, sports tourer, it's not really a sports tourer. It's much more in that class of big grand tourer. So it's in the same sort of league as the BMW R1200/1250 RT, the Kawasaki GTR 1400, the Yamaha FJR 1300, to name but a few. Oh, we could throw in the yes, we could throw in the Moto Guzzi Noga. Hey, could we not? Full dress tourer. So yeah, we'll just have a little chat about that. I'm now on the AVTR. That's the Air Valley Trunk Road, and it would appear that they are about to bejewel this legendary stretch of tarmac, hey, with average speed cameras. Yes, they haven't seen fit to do that for the last sort of quarter of a century, but all of a sudden they want to fit average speed cameras. And I simply sort of pose the question, do you think that's a road safety exercise primarily, because that's exactly how it will be marketed, or do you think it's a revenue gathering exercise, the creation of yet another road-based cash cow? And I would suggest it's more the latter than the former, which you might think is a bit of an odd position for an ex-cop to take. But let me tell you one thing that I did learn in abundance over 30 years of coppering is that by and large, speed cameras do not catch the real naughty boys. They don't. They go past with absolute impunity. Because of course, automated speed detection devices, speed cameras, average speed cameras, things of that nature, mobile camera vans, in order to secure any sort of shall we say collection of the fine, rely upon the registered keeper details on the vehicle being up to date and accurate. And let me tell you, bad folk, the boy racers who warp their way up and down the Air Valley Trunk Road and other roads of course, doing speeds I'm sure well in excess of 100 miles an hour, perhaps on occasion nearer 200 miles an hour. See them doing it on a regular basis. They all look to be like really high performance sports cars. A lot of the time they're hired from specialist hire companies, and yeah, there's the likes of the Lamborghinis, Ferraris and Audi R8, all of that sketch. And a lot of them will just very, very happily trip the speed cameras, because there ain't no way in hell they're ever going to pay the fine. They're not even going to get the fine, because the registered keeper details will either be hopelessly out of date or will lead down the track of so many obstacles come any attempt to pursue the matter, that it just won't happen. So I guess the bulk of the revenue that will come from average speed cameras on this here road will be Mr. Law-abiding average with his accurately and fully legally registered vehicle, who might just happen in a moment of inattention, which is very easy in big modern powerful cars and motorcycles for that matter, find himself or herself nudging 80, and bang, there's your 3 points and there's your fine. But the really dangerous, nasty, horrible, irresponsible, dangerous criminal element won't give a monkeys, because by and large they cannot be captured by automated speed detection devices, because the registered keeper or registered keeper history is pretty much a dead end. That's how it works. Sad but true. And as I say, you might ordinarily think, well, you don't know what you're talking about, but I lived and breathed it for 30 years, so hey, bloody well do know what I'm talking about. And any of my viewers, subscribers out there, I know there's quite a few of you are retired police officers, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. 'Twas ever thus. But it's fundamentally wrong, it's morally wrong It's largely a revenue gathering exercise dressed up as a road safety exercise, because of course you cannot challenge safety based arguments. You're immediately shut down, aren't you? So I won't even try that one again. Don't want shadow banning again. So yeah, anyway, that's not what today's about. I just throw that 2p thing because I'm sure a lot of you out there will share my absolute frustrations over a completely skewed and unjust system that is basically a bit too lazy brained and a lot too underfunded to be able to secure justice in relation to the most dangerous motoring elements in society. They get away with it every time and will continue to do so. The only way to deal with people like that is how we used to do it back in the day, and that's just stop them out on the road. Get your police patrols out there and just get them policed, get them properly, comprehensively, robustly, and yes, fairly policed. But there ain't enough of us out there to do that. And if any of you're wondering what that blue, black and white coloured Union Jack is at the end of my videos now, and will be at the end of every one of my videos, that's the thin blue line, and it could just as easily be any other country. In fact, I know the United States have the Stars and Stripes with a thin blue line through it as well. And whether you agree with that or not, that's how it is, because that's just been my life basically, and way too many of my colleagues have died in the course of duty over my 3 decades of service, and that's just paying respect both to them and those who continue to put their lives on the line for not a lot of reward, frankly. Anyway, so aye, pan-European. Hey, January sniffy nose. Anyway, for first day in a long time when the roads have been free of rain, ice and salt. Hey, not to be missed, bit of a rarity in January. So yeah, welcome, and of course we're in the heart of Yorkshire. Hey, Freddie Dobbs is up here as I speak. Yeah, the Tinker's come up to Yorkshire on that there Honda Transalp that Honda have let him have for God knows how long. Aye, I think earlier this week he spent the night in Ilkley, which is like 5 minutes from where we are now. Yeah, he got a room in a little gin joint in Ilkley. Good lad, hope you enjoy it, Freddie. I did put a shout out to offer you a bit of a guided tour, but I'm sure you get that many emails from folk that you can't read them all, but never mind. The offer is there. Yeah, on the ST1300 Pan-European. So of course the first inception of this bike, the Mark 1, the ST1100, sort of came out in the early 90s, and it came about largely on the back of the success, particularly in the States, of the Honda Goldwing, which enjoyed an awful lot of success, but was widely regarded as perhaps a bit too big and luxurious, perhaps for a lot of the European roads. So, and of course below that all you got basically were the VFR 800, so there were a gap waiting to be plugged there. So they came up with the Honda ST1100 Pan-European, a bike that enjoyed enormous success, got a tremendous reputation for build quality and reliability, and being able to do monstrously high mileages, you know, 200,000 mile of a touch, without issue, and were highly regarded and highly used, for that matter, by many of the emergency services in different countries, and certainly very, very popular with police forces here back in the 90s. Now, fast forward to the 2000s and sort of 2002, and then this model was released. 2002, the ST1300 Pan-European was released, and a year later it became available in the States. And on the early models, the ABS version, of which this is one, they were an option. Later on, I think 04, 05, ABS became standard, maybe a bit later, and also the electric screen became standard, and this has got the electric screen as well. But at the time when this bike came out, 2003, both the ABS and the electric screen were optional, but this has both, I'm pleased to say, and Oxford heated grips at the moment, which I'm very, very grateful for, because we're at, let's have a look, 7 degrees. So yeah, it was a logical progression when the ST1300 came out for the same emergency services that had enjoyed using the 1100 for so long. It was really a natural transition to move on to this bike, which they did. But then a phenomenon known as pan weave manifested itself. And that was reports of a lot of instability in the bike at speeds sort of not normal speeds at all, but speeds that perhaps you might expect a police motorcyclist to get up to, 110 mile an hour plus, 110, 120, 130, 140. And indeed at least one police motorcyclist very tragically was killed as a consequence thereof, and others seriously injured. And as a result of, I think it was the coroner's inquiry into the death of that police officer, around about 2007, I think the coroner issued an instruction in relation to the adoption of these bikes by the emergency services. And that sort of forced Honda's hand, and they had to sort of, I don't know if they did any actual tweaks to the bike, or they certainly issued some guidance about load distribution and what have you. Because it's a pretty good handling bike. I mean, for a bike that weighs 330 kilograms wet for the ABS version, the weight distribution is relatively good, but the fuel tank's split into two. There's a lower and an upper, which helps with the centre of gravity. But I suppose the question is with the police bikes now, did this come about because they were the people that were routinely riding, you know, well over 100 mile an hour, or did it come about because of the altered weight distribution of the police spec versions of the ST1300 Pan-European, which were carrying radio packs and blue lights and different panniers and lots of things that the bike wasn't actually designed around? Or it could be a combination of the two. Whatever it was, police fell out in sort of 2007. The police fell out altogether with this model of the Pan-European, and police forces didn't touch it for sort of 2, 3, 4 years until the problem seemed to be ironed out by Honda, and then they sort of went back to them. But a lot of the ambulance services kept hold of them, blood bikers and what have you. But I think it's fair to say by and large, the blood bikers and paramedic bikers would probably not be doing very long distance, very high speed runs like police motorcyclists would be doing on, for example, category A escorts. So that was sort of a bit of unfortunate history in relation to this bike. But as a consummate tourer, to my mind, they are unrivaled in the pantheon of touring motorcycles. I've had the BMW R1250 RT. I owned one for the best part of the year. I've ridden the Kawasaki, the GTR 1400. I've ridden the FGR 1300, the Yamaha, very highly regarded bike. And to be honest with you, I don't think they hold a candle to this one. Now, why on earth would you say that, I hear you ask, particularly if you're fans of any of those particular bikes? Well, it's to a degree, it's a subjective point of view, isn't it? But first of all, I'm not a lover of inline 4 engines. They're just a little bit too refined for me, lack a little bit of character. So the sort of the Kawasaki and the FGR 1300, I don't find the bikes, or didn't find those bikes particularly engaging. I remember taking out the new FDR 1300 back in 2002. It launched about the same time as the ST 1300. I took one out from Earnshaw's in Huddersfield, took it for a test ride. Fantastic bike, but it just didn't do anything for me at all, and I was glad to get back on my old ST 1100. But a great bike, without a shadow of a doubt, one that's enjoyed a huge degree of success, and also with the emergency services. Just not for me, really. The thing with the engine in this is it's a V4, and when you wind this bike on, the best way I can describe it is the engine, it spools up like a jet engine. It's not like an inline 4 that has a very refined, almost sotto voce deliverance of power and sound, and obviously it's not as rock and roll as a V-twin or a parallel twin, but as a 4-cylinder engine in this 90-degree V configuration, it delivers a lot more, how shall I describe it, rider engagement and rider feedback than an inline 4. So that's what I absolutely like about this bike. The other thing I like about it is the looks. When you consider this came out in 2002, if I show you a picture of the competition here, and we have a look at the FGR 1300 and the BMW R1150 RT, I'm sure you'll agree which one has the most modern look to it. I think that's a bit of a no-brainer, especially with that BMW is concerned. The Kawasaki GTR 1400 didn't come out until quite a bit later. But of course, Honda, legendary build quality, legendary reliability, and just all-round quality, and just an absolute joy to ride these bikes. No two ways about it, an absolute joy to ride. here we are then, my 2003 Honda ST1300 Pan-European in beautiful condition. Little tip for you, if you're looking for one of these, the first place they start to show any degree of wear and tear are the fork stanchions here, and if they're in pretty mint condition and they're original, you can pretty much guarantee the rest of the bike will be sound as well. And as you can see, these are absolutely spotless, but they do have a propensity, if they're not looked after with time, to pit and corrode a tad. So yeah, ST1300 Pan-European. So let's talk about the engine. That's an inline V4, 16 valve liquid cooled unit, 1261cc, puts out 117 brake horsepower, and round about the same in Newton meters of torque. Very, very torquey, tractable engine indeed. CI on this 790 millimeters. As you can see on my bike, I've got all the Honda luggage. The panniers are integrated. They do come off, obviously, but they are what they call integrated panniers. The top box is an extra. Yeah, up front we've got an 18-inch wheel up front, and braking wise, two 310mm discs with twin 3-pot Nissin calipers, so plenty of braking up front there. At the back, and a little bit more difficult to see, but what we have there is a 316mm single disc with a single 3-pot caliper. Pretty good rear braking as well on this bike. It's got a 29-litre fuel tank, so knocking on the door of GS Adventure capacity there, so bags of range on this bike. This is the ABS model. After a certain point they came as ABS with standard, but these earlier ones it was an option. This is the ABS model with the electric screen, and I have the Oxford heated grips on this. Other than that, a fairly standard layout, hydraulic clutch, and nothing really unremarkable about the instrumentation. No fancy electronics, no IMUs, nothing of that nature. Just good, solid, dependable Honda simplicity, such as it is. Yeah. Cracking bike, love it. Rear suspension is adjustable, as you can see, for compression. And other than that, there isn't a great deal to say about this bike, because what you see is what you get with these big Honda beasts. Plenty of weather protection going on there, and I have to say it's probably about 3 degrees up here, but on this bike don't feel it at all. Plenty of weather and wind protection going on. And the only thing cosmetically I've done to this bike is to convert the indicators from orange to clear with orange bulbs, and that wasn't at all expensive. And even 20 years on, that still looks like a modern touring motorcycle. Cracking. So let's have a look at me seated upon the bike. Yeah, so I'm 6'1" with a sort of 33-inch inside leg, and 790mm seat height, so not that high at all. And as you can see, I'm flat-footed with still a degree of bend in the leg. The riding position itself is sort of fairly typical sports tourer, even though I don't actually class this bike as a sports tourer. As I said earlier, these big touring bikes are more in the category of grand tourer. So yeah, I would all day long rather have one of these than the competition. Absolutely nothing wrong with the Yamaha FGR 1300 or Kawasaki GTR 1400 or Triumph Trophy 1200 or BMW R1250 RT, R1200 RT. Nothing wrong with any of those bikes, but I've either had or ridden all of those bikes, and this, to my mind, this bike is an order of magnitude more engaging to ride than those other motorcycles. But that's entirely subjective, obviously. It just seems to fit me perfectly. Love it to bits. Yeah. If you're in the market for a big tourer and you don't want to spend a lot of money and you want the legendary Honda build quality and durability, then look no further. In fact, if you want to get the ST 1100 Pan-European, you can pick them up for even less. You know, 1,500 quid, possibly, for a decent one. A couple of grand certainly get you one of those. But I think this one's much better looking. The ST 1100 is starting to look a little bit dated now. It's still a very, very good bike. Yeah, what a cracker. Yeah, so up in the wild and woolly moors above the Yorkshire Dales, this time in the middle of January, would you believe? Well, sorry, the end of January. But still an absolutely glorious place to spend some time. Right up here where you can really get your thoughts together. Absolutely stunning. Just take a look at this. You know, I don't know about you, but I really feel the negative impacts of the long drawn-out winter months. The short days, the long nights, the, shall we say, less than motorcycling conducive weather, to say the least. We've had 10 storms since the storm counting season came in September of last year. 10 storms we've had in this country. Last year we only had 2, so I suppose there's a degree of balance to be had there. Mustn't get too paranoid about it all, I suppose. But when it hasn't been stormy, it's just been icy. And when you live where I live, in these hilly parts, and you live right atop the side of a valley as I do, then high winds and icy roads are a showstopper when it comes to motorcycling. So I really do feel the effects, and the older I get, the more I feel it, to be fair. It can really get to you from a sort of I suppose a psychological well-being point of view. Can really get to you, and I'm sure you understand exactly what I mean. But the ideal antidote to those maudlin moments is to come somewhere like this and yeah, be grateful for a manageable, dry, salt-free, ice-free, rain-free day in January, and a weekend, no less. So much the better. Listen to that silence. You can't put a price on it, you know. Long may these lands remain free.